Mellow greetings from Game Room Live. My name is Robert, and today I'm going to be introducing you to a very old and dear friend of mine. This is 2XL, and he is a robot. Actually, he really isn't a robot. He's more of a glorified tape player. And if you don't know what a tape player is, then congratulations, you were born on or after the year 2000. No, in all seriousness, if you really don't know what a tape player is, a tape player played these things. And I apologize because for whatever reason my iPhone camera has reversed the text. I'll try to fix that later. But yes, this is a cassette tape. And what it is it's a tiny little case for a couple of spools of magnetic tape. And the magnetic tape is what stores the media on it. These were mostly used for music, books on tape, answering machines, too. A whole lot of different stuff. Basically everything we use our MP3s and iPhones and whatnot for nowadays. Well, almost everything. Obviously, you can't play Angry Birds on a cassette tape. But that's how 2XL was able to have the degree of interactivity he did. This 2XL specifically is the 90s version manufactured by Tiger Electronics. There was actually an original 2XL version that was manufactured by the Mago Corporation from 1978 to 1981. I don't have that. All there is pictures. Both versions of 2XL were created by a guy named Dr. Martin Freeman. And he's still around today. I think he's still making educational toys. If I recall correctly from my research, the one he's done most recently was called Casey the Kinderbot or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, as I said, this was the version of 2XL that was manufactured in the 90s. And basically the way it worked was you'd have the tapes here, like this one, Voyage to Outer Space, and on the magnetic tape in standard cassette tapes, you would have 4 audio tracks. And normally what they would do is on the front side of the tape, or side A or side 1, whatever, they record 2 of the stereo audio tracks going in the one direction, and then of course you would flip the tape over, put it back in, and then the other 2 audio tracks would be in the other direction. Well, what they did with these tapes was they recorded all 4 audio tracks mono, and they recorded them all in the same direction. So that would then enable you to use the buttons here on the front of 2XL that are labeled question. On the top they're labeled, let's see, question, 1, 2, 3, and then yes, no, true, false, and 1, 2, 3, and 4. And whenever you press one of these buttons, they would switch the tape player head in here. Let me see if I can get a good shot of it. Probably not. That little silver tab right in the middle there above the cassette that's currently inside. And the reader head would be reading all 4 audio tracks instead of just 2. It won't come out. Come on, get out. There you go. And it would, like I said, it would read all 4 audio tracks instead of just 2. It would read them individually depending on which button you'd pushed. And that's how you would get the interactivity out of it. And it was actually a really great concept for its time. This version of 2XL was manufactured specifically from 1992 to 1995. And honestly, I'd have to say it's probably one of the most fun toys my parents ever bought for me. I would spend hours just playing around with it. and doing the various programs. Now, there were two types of programs that were released for this version of 2XL. Most of them were the educational tapes that would talk about various subjects of science and literature and so on and so forth. I already showed you this one, Voyage to Outer Space. There were some others like Storymaker, which basically took a whole bunch of well-known folk tales and legends and nursery rhymes and so on and so forth, like Pinocchio and Goldilocks and the Bears, and you would, I think, put them together and combine them or tell them in different ways. It's hard for me to remember because obviously I haven't listened to most of these in years. What are some of the other educational tapes here? There's Monsters, Myths, and Dinosaurs. Golly, I don't even remember what this one was about specifically, besides, what's on the label. Say Hello to Famous Folks, which was a tape where you and 2XL time traveled and went around to various famous figures of history like Florence Nightingale and the Wright brothers and interviewed them. What else do we have here? Oceans of Fun. And as well as put together as these tapes were, I would imagine that most of them, being 20 to 23 years old now, are probably horribly out of date, like the Voyage to Outer Space one. Pluto's not a planet anymore. Although, as I'm recording this, we are very close to having the New Horizons space probe make its closest pass to Pluto, and we're going to see views of Pluto we've never seen before, so that'll be interesting. Anyway, going back to 2XL, the other type of tapes that were released for 2XL were called the adventure tapes, and they would be about they were mostly about pop culture things and TV, movies, and comics that were popular at the time, such as, here's a Spider-Man tape called For King and Country. I have 7 of these, by the way. Superman, A New Hero in Town. The tie-in for the biggest movie of 1993, even though this is dated 1994, Chaos in Jurassic Park. Star Trek The Next Generation, Blinded by the Light. X-Men, Ghosts That Haunt Us. And the 2 Batman tapes. I gotta stop holding my fingers in front of the labels. Carnival of Crime and The Sizzling Scheme. Now, what was so awesome about these adventure tapes is the amount of production they put into them. They would actually, for a lot of these adventure tapes, they would actually have some of the voice cast from, say, Spider-Man the Animated Series come on and do the voices. For example, the Spider-Man tape here for King and Country actually does have the voices of Spider-Man and Black Cat, Christopher something or other who did Spider-Man, and Jennifer Hale as Black Cat. The Star Trek one is pretty impressive, considering that it stars LeVar Burton as Geordie LaForge. No, not kidding. They actually got him. But this tape is dated 1994, so he either did it as Next Gen was wrapping up, or in that short period between the end of Season 7 of Next Gen and Star Trek Generations. Plus, I still think he was doing Reading Rainbow at the time, I think. The 2 Batman tapes here both star Kevin Conroy as Batman. He is the only voice actor they could get. Funny thing about the Batman tapes there. One of them, Carnival of Crime. You might have guessed the main villain of that is the Joker. And because this is also partly based on Batman the Animated Series that was being broadcast at that time, it also stars Harley Quinn. Though, as I said, Kevin Conroy is the only actor they got from that series. So it's kind of weird. I'm so used to Arlene Sorkin's version of the character, and I'm kind of getting used to Tara Strong doing it because I think they had her be Harley Quinn for both Arkham City and the recently released Arkham Knight. Pretty sure. But whoever they got to do Harley Quinn in this tape, and then for whatever reason they refer to her as the Harlequin. It's not the Harlequin, guys. It's Harley Quinn. Whatever. Anyway, she plays it off very strangely, very sultry, dare I say, even sensuous. So it's just kind of really weird, especially when you're so used to the Arlene Sorkin version. Because the Superman tape here was made before Superman the Animated Series started broadcasting, I don't think it stars Tim Daly as Superman, but the guy they got to do Superman in this does sound an awful lot like him. I'm not sure. Chaos in Jurassic Park is probably the only exception to this. This tape does not have any of the actors from the movie because that would probably be way too expensive. But speaking of expensive, the last tape I have right here, the X-Men tape. The X-Men tape actually stars pretty much most of the cast of the 1990s X-Men cartoon. Wolverine, Magneto, Professor X, Cyclops, Jubilee, Bishop, Beast, I think Mystique, I'm not sure. No Jean Grey, though, because this one's based a bit more on the comic books, actually, so I guess at this point in the X-Men comics in the 90s, Jean Grey was dead or something. The Phoenix thing had already happened and she was dead. Was that the first time she was dead? She's kind of been dead so much, I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah, it's pretty impressive. Now, these aren't all the adventure tapes. I only have a few of them. There was actually a second X-Men tape called... I can't remember. Deadly Games, The Deadliest Game, something like that. There was also a second Superman tape called Mayhem in Metropolis. There were also a couple of other tie-in adventure tapes. There was an Are You Afraid of the Dark tape, which would have been awesome because, jeez, I don't know about you guys, but Are You Afraid of the Dark scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. There was also what is probably the rarest 2XL tape ever, I am given to understand, a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers tape called Attack of the 100-Foot Teenagers, which actually sounds a lot like something that Power Rangers would do. I'm trying to think of something else. Oh, Ripley's Believe It or Not. That was also an adventure tape. At least I think it was an adventure tape. It might have also been sort of like a hybrid adventure, educational, whatever. And there are also quite a few of the educational tapes that I do not have. There were quite a lot of them released. But as I said near the beginning of the video, 2XL unfortunately only lasted those 3 years between 1992 and 1995, with most of its tapes being manufactured in 92 to 94. The Power Rangers tape is apparently the only tape dated 1995, which means it could very well be the last 2XL tape. Why did it eventually go away? I've been doing some research. and I'm still not entirely sure. At one point, 2XL was even on TV. There was a giant version of him with a TV screen of some, or a projection screen of some sort here in the middle where the tape deck would be, on an old game show starring Mark Summers that you might have watched when you were a kid called Pick Your Brain. Unfortunately, it didn't. Martin Freeman, who was the inventor of 2XL and also his voice, was not on there, presumably because he was busy doing tapes for 2XL. But I'm still not entirely sure why 2XL went away. From some things and rumors I have heard, it probably had to do with the adventure tapes. They were getting very expensive to make. Especially, I would imagine, especially the X-Men one, since that not only had most of the cast of the show on it, which probably cost a pretty penny, it also has its own version of the X-Men theme song, you know, da-da-na-na-na-na-na, da-da-na-na-na-na. Oh, wow, I look ridiculous doing that. You know what I mean, right? So they probably had to pay royalties for that as well. And I would also imagine it was probably because by 1995, kids' toys were starting to get more advanced, more computerized. Nintendo was absolutely dominating in the handheld video game market, and which Tiger had been struggling with throughout most of the 80s and 90s. Anybody remember the R-Zone? So, yeah, I haven't been able to find a concrete reason, but for whatever reason, 2XL just kind of ended up quietly fading away. One moment. Gesundheit. Apologies. But to finish this video up, I'm going to play a couple of minutes of one of the 2XL tapes. We're actually going to be doing some, I guess you'd call them Let's Play tapes. Let's Play tapes. No, Let's Plays. I guess a more appropriate term would be Let's Retro, since it's not really a play. I mean, this is an interactive toy, but it's not really a video game, but whatever. We'll be doing the adventure tapes, at least most of them. We'll be starting off with the Jurassic Park tape, because Jurassic World is all foremost in our minds right now. But as to which one we do next, we're leaving that up to you, so please like and comment on this video if you want to hear which of the tapes we do next, and see if we can remember how to work this arcane media. Remember, besides Jurassic Park, we've got X-Men, Spider-Man, 2 Batman tapes, Star Trek, and Superman. So, yeah. To close off this video, I'll play a bit of one of the tapes. Let's try out Spidey. Okay, let me put 2XL right here. It's probably going to shake up my computer a bit. You never could do this by just slotting it in the lid. You had to put it in manually. Okay, there we go. Let's switch it on. That's the stop button. Oh yeah, there was no fast forward button on this either, because, you know, there'd be no point. If you put one of these tapes in a regular tape player, you'd hear 2 of the audio tracks jumbled together as they play at the same time, and if you turned the tape over, you'd just hear the other 2 audio tracks backwards. Oh, forgot to mention, how did this thing run? Batteries, right? Well, it actually does have an AC adapter on the side here, but I think that was sold separately. I've got 3 of these things, and I've never had an AC adapter for them. The first one is my original 2XL my parents bought for me when I was a kid. I know which one it is because it's actually missing the front lid here. And then these other 2 are ones we got on eBay, because my original 2XL just kind of started not working, basically. I used it so many times, its gears and mechanics just ground down. It just doesn't play tapes very well anymore. But if you don't have an C adapter, what kind of batteries do you use? Ooh, you're going to like this. It uses... If I can get the battery cover off. Come on, there we go. It uses 4D batteries. Yep, not lying. You can only see 2 of them here, but trust me, there's 4 of them in there. Okay, get the battery back on. This tape's already around, so we just have to press play. And you can see that his little lights blink up there. And there's supposed to be a diode in here that flashes when he's talking, but unfortunately it doesn't work on this one. So sorry about that.
Beginning this program.
There it goes.
Today's adventure stars everybody's favorite web slinger, the sensational Spider-Man. Before we get into today's exciting adventure, I need to remind you how my programming works. Please pay attention, because if you do not follow instructions carefully, it could wind up confusing.
You know, dude, I already know how you work.
Always follow instructions. Only push those buttons you are given as choices, and only press a button after I say the word now. Now that we have that out of the way, we can begin today's exciting adventure called For King and Country.
Let's do it.
I take you now to the busy streets of New York City,
the Big Apple,
outside the Simcarian Embassy.
Peter
I don't think
Parker,
that's a real country.
dressed in a rented tuxedo, walks up the street until he arrives at the Simcarian Embassy. Peter is a young man with dark brown hair. He is a professional news photographer on his way to take
cast a new
pictures at an official
Spider-Man.
presentation from the King of Simcaria to the United States. There are velvet ropes holding back the crowd as Peter approaches the door. He is trying to push his way through the crowd when he feels a hand on his arm.
Hey, where you going, handsome?
Peter turns to see Felicia Hardy, the beautiful platinum blonde-haired woman that he knows secretly to be the adventurous Black Cat.
I'm here to cover the presentation for the Daily Bugle. What are you doing here, Felicia?
I was hoping to catch a glimpse of the world-famous Simcarian royal jewels, and you are just the person who can get me in to do it, Parker.
Well, you're not thinking of going back to your old ways, are you?
Those voices sound familiar.
Felicia Hardy had been a cat burglar. The time she spent as Spider-Man's friend and partner reformed her. Now she is more likely to help Spider-Man recover stolen jewels than to think of ways to steal them herself.
Of course not. So what do you say, sugar? I seem to have been left off the guest list. You gonna help me crash this shindig or what?
What do you think, friend? Should Peter invite Felicia to go into the embassy with him? Press yes if you'd like him to invite Felicia.
Definitely yes.
Press no if you don't think.
And it's already pressed,
Please
so
pick up your finger
yeah.
and press yes or no now.
Well, my wife couldn't be here today because she's working. Why don't you come along with me, Felicia?
Why doesn't he
Peter
just say
and
Mary
Felicia make their
Jane?
way through the crowd and walk up the red carpet to the main entrance. They are stopped by a man in a Simcarian army uniform. Peter presents his invitation, and he and Felicia are admitted into the embassy. After passing through security, they are permitted to enter the huge reception hall.
Wow, look at this place. It's like some kind of movie.
Peter agrees. The room is beautifully furnished and filled with some of the most important people in the United States. There are politicians, movie stars, and celebrities of all sorts. At one end of the room is a podium where uniformed guards are stationed. One of them catches Felicia's eye.
Who's the woman with the silver hair and the body armor?
Peter looks in the direction Felicia is pointing and recognizes the woman standing near the podium.
Oh, that's Silver Sable. She's a high-profile mercenary from Simcaria. King Stefan probably hired her to keep an eye on things.
The lights in the ballroom dim, and a spotlight hits the podium. The red curtains behind the dais part, and King Stefan steps through them. He is wearing the ceremonial crown and carrying the scepter of the royal family of Simcaria. As he approaches the microphone, there's the sound of a muffled explosion.
Uh-oh.
And smoke clouds the room. Felicia grabs Peter's arm and whispers into his ear as the guests begin to panic.
Looks like we're in for some excitement. You think we should go change?
Felicia Hardy is one of the few people in the world who knows that Peter Parker and Spider-Man are one and the same person.
I'm not sure. We might be able to learn more if we stay here.
What do you think? Press 1 if you'd like Peter and Felicia to change into costume. Press 2 if you'd like them to stay in the reception hall to keep an eye on things. Select 1 or 2 now.
All right. Well, that about just wraps things up. Oh, I also forgot to mention that the microphone jack is here on the opposite side. I remember the headphones I had working in stereo for this, but when I tried out my iPhone headphones, it only came out through one earbud. Well, it is recorded in mono, so maybe those old headphones were just doing kind of fake stereo. I don't know. Maybe they were just wired up for mono instead of actual left and right. But yeah, that's 2XL. And if you want to know what happens next in the adventure, whether Peter and Felicia just stay in the ballroom to find out what's going on, or they go change into Spider-Man and Black Cat, then let us know, because that could be the next adventure tape we do after Jurassic Park here. So, once again, I am Robert from Game Room Live. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our videos down below. And I'm out of here. Say goodbye. He can't actually do anything unless there's a tape in.